Hey, what's up, sports bettors? My name is Matt Modi. I'm a content producer and betting analyst for OddsJam.com. And in this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to bet on the NBA, the different main markets of the NBA, some player prop, game props, some other type of alternate markets, and then, of course, most importantly, how you can make money betting on the NBA. I'm recording this at the beginning of October. The NBA season is starting soon, so I figured why not teach everybody how to bet on the NBA and how to profit doing so? So, when you are betting on the NBA, there are going to be three main markets for you to bet on. The first one, and this is probably the most common bet in general on the NBA, is a spread bet. So, when you are betting on a spread, you are betting on a team to win by a certain number of points or to lose by up to a certain number of points. Easiest way to talk about it would be to give you an example. So what you see on the screen here is a screenshot of an NBA game opening night between the 76ers and the Boston Celtics. A couple things to note here. Under spread, what you see is the -3.5 on the Celtics and the +3.5 for the Sixers. What this means is that if you are betting on the Celtics, they need to win by 4 or more points in order for you to win that bet. So if Celtics win by 4, you win your spread bet -3.5. Celtics win by 15. You still win your spread bet by 3, or the spread bet of 3.5. For the Sixers, if you're betting on their spread at +3.5, they could either lose by 3 or fewer points, so they could lose by 3, 2, 1 point, or they could win the game outright and you would win your bet. So an easy way to tell whether a team is a favorite or an underdog in terms of the spread, just look at where the plus or the minus is. We see the -3.5 next to the Celtics. That means that they are 3.5 point favorites. So if I bet on the Celtics -3.5 and they win the game, but they only win by 3, I would not have won my spread bet for the Celtics. So that is the point spread, the most common bet for the NBA. The next one is the money line bet. We just see one column over. Now this one is the easiest concept to understand in sports. You're just betting on who you think is going to win the game. Similar to the spread bet, the minus sign next to the number designates the favorite. So we see on the money line odds, we see the Celtics -190. We see the Sixers at +158. That means that the Sixers are the underdogs, Celtics are the favorite. Now the numbers themselves, the bigger the numbers equals the bigger the favorite. So the Celtics being at a -190 favorite, that means that if you bet $190 on the Celtics to win and they win the game, you would profit $100. So the minus sign, the number next to it, designates how much you would need to risk in order to profit $100. For the plus sign, in this case, the +158 for the 76ers, that is how much you would win if you bet, that's how much you would profit if you risked $100. So if I risked $100 on the Celtics at the Sixers at +158, they win the game, I would profit $158. So I mentioned that the higher the number equals the bigger the favorite. It's the same thing for the spread. So a team that is -250 favorite is going to be a bigger favorite than the Celtics at -190. But that is a money line bet. Pretty simple. You're just betting on who you think is going to win. Now, the last one of the main markets, and this is the only one that doesn't have to do with the direct outcome of the game in terms of a winner or loser, is the total points. So in this case, we see the total points at 213.5. In this case, when you're betting on a total, you are just betting on how many points you think are going to be scored in the game. It doesn't matter how they're scored, doesn't matter who scores them, just that the points are scored. So in this case, if the Celtics win 114-100, that means 214 total points would have been scored. That means the over bet would have won. The Celtics, win 112-100. That means only 212 points would have been scored and the under would have hit. The Celtics somehow won 214-0. Still would hit the over because more than 213.5 points were scored. So when you're betting on the total, you're not betting on who you think is going to win or who you think is going to lose the game. You're just betting on the number of points scored in the game. So total bets can be fun for people if they don't have an idea, they don't like a specific side, but they do like a total. They can bet on that and still have some action in the game. But those are the three main markets for the NBA: spread, money line, total points. All right, so now that we got the three main markets out of the way, the next type of bet that I want to talk about for the NBA are proposition bets. They're a little bit different than the three main markets, but they're still equally fun to bet on. The first type of proposition bet, and this has become incredibly popular because of the rise of fantasy sports and daily fantasy sports, are player props. Basically, if there's a counting stat in the NBA for a specific player, you can bet on it as a player prop. The three obvious ones: points, rebounds, assists, you can bet on those. So do I think Joel Embiid is going to go over under 27.5 points? That's an example of a player prop. Do I think James Harden is going to go over or under 9.5 assists? That is an example of a player prop. There's also more wacky ones, like you can bet on points plus rebounds plus assists. So is Jokic going to record a combined 50.5 points plus rebounds plus assists? You can bet on 3-pointers. Steph Curry going to have over or under 4.5 3-pointers. Any counting stat, like I said, you can probably bet on it as a player prop. The next type of proposition bet is called a game prop. Now, this is similar to a totals bet, in which you are betting on something related to the game, but you're not betting on the outcome of who you think is going to win or lose the game. Popular game props include team totals. So instead of betting on the total points, you can bet on how many points you think the Sixers are going to score in a game. You can also bet on first half totals, first quarter totals. Other game props include some fun ones. Will the game go into overtime? Will the largest lead of the game be over or under 12.5? Stuff like that are all examples of game props. So we got the three main markets. We've got the two prop markets: player prop and game prop. And that pretty much summarizes the important stuff of betting on the NBA. Of course, there are futures bets you can make as well. Who's going to win the NBA title? Who's going to win MVP? Stuff like that are also available to be bet on in the NBA. But the main things that you need to focus on your day-to-day NBA betting are the three that I just talked about. Three main markets, two player props. All right, so now that you know how to bet on the NBA, let's more importantly teach you how to make money betting on the NBA. Because at the end of the day, betting's fun, profiting is more fun. It's funner, as the kids say. So I'm going to talk to you about some NBA strategies. Some are specific to the NBA. Some are just sports agnostic strategies that you should understand for all of sports. Number one, and this is the most important strategy that I could ever talk to you about, it's just line shopping. You need to be constantly looking out for the best odds. So we see a screenshot here of all of the money line odds for that same Sixers versus Celtics game. Now, if you remember, the Sixers were plus 158. The Celtics were minus 190. Well, if you wanted to bet on the Celtics, you could save yourself 20 cents if you bet them on another book, if you bet them on DraftKings at minus 170. It's the same exact bet. Literally all you're betting is on the Celtics to win. In this case, you're saving yourself $20 if you bet on DraftKings. Same thing with the Sixers if you bet on BetMGM. If you bet $100 on the Sixers to win, you could either make $158 on Caesars, or you can make $165 on BetMGM. The same logic applies to a point spread and a total. What you see on the screenshot here, another screenshot pulled from OddsJam, the line shopping tool. If you remember, the Celtics were minus 3.5, the Sixers were plus 3.5. Well, if you wanted to bet on the Sixers, you're betting on the same exact bet, you're betting on the Sixers spread. How about get them at half a point higher at plus 4 on FanDuel? Same exact odds. So now the Sixers lose by 4, you would have lost your bet on Caesars. In this bet, you would have pushed, which means that you would have just gotten a refund. So line shopping is literally the most important thing you can do in terms of betting on sports. The next thing that you want to do to make money betting on the NBA, you want to fade the public. What this means is that if you see that the public is getting a 90% of the bets, so let's pretend the Celtics were getting 90% of the spread bets. That is a team that you actually want to fade. You want to fade the public. You want to fade where the majority of the bets are on. The reason for this is because if a team is very popular, they're getting all the bets. The Lakers back in the day with Kobe and Shaq, or more recently with LeBron and Anthony Davis. The Warriors are a better example of that. Everybody wants to bet on the Warriors. What that means is that they're probably priced up a little too much higher than what they actually should be priced at. The goal of sports books themselves, they just want to make sure that there's equal payout no matter who wins the game. So if the Celtics win, they want to make sure they get 50% of the payout. The Sixers win, same thing. So all the sports books are trying to do is even out the payouts on each side. So what this means is that if the public is heavily betting one team, that number is probably going to be bet up a little bit higher to get equal payouts, which means that the other side of that is probably the better bet. There are many different sources where you can see where money is going. Some sports books have it themselves, like FanDuel will tell you the percentage of bets. Same thing with DraftKings. But fading the public, again, this is not NBA specific, is very, very profitable in the long run. So now to talk about some NBA specific betting strategies. The first thing I'm going to talk to you about is strategies with betting on the total. So one of the biggest misnomers when it comes to betting on totals is that the biggest factor in whether a game goes over or under is the pace. It's not how good the offenses are. It's not how good the defenses are. It's the pace of the game. So if you're looking for teams that you want to bet the over or the under, look at the pace statistics and look at it for both teams, right? If one team plays really fast, one team plays really slow, maybe the pace evens itself out, is middle of the pack. Now, if you're playing two fast-paced teams, there's going to be more possessions, more chances to score, more running, everything equals points. So that one's pretty simple, but when you're betting on totals, just understand that the pace is the most important statistic. Now, injury reports with the NBA are one of the most important things, more so than any other sport. The NBA is one of the rare sports where you will see players rested with no injury. They'll just wake up one day and the team will say, you know what? We're going to do some load management. Kawhi Leonard, Joel Embiid, you are not going to play today. Constantly monitoring injury reports is incredibly beneficial when betting on the NBA for a bunch of different reasons. Joel Embiid sits, Sixers probably aren't as good. What that also means is that other players are going to have to step up. So look at a correlation. Does Tyrese Maxey score more when Joel Embiid sits on the bench? How about we back Joel Embiid's backup, who's going to play more games? Understanding the injury reports and who to back or what teams to back or fade is very important, more so than any other sport, because you could literally wake up a perfectly healthy LeBron James, Steph Curry, best player in the entire NBA, will rest for that specific purpose, just to rest. So monitoring the injury reports, very, very important. The next thing that you want to monitor are scheduling conflicts, mostly teams that are on a back-to-back or 3 games in 4 nights or 5 games in 7 nights. Basically, you're looking for teams that might have tired legs. On average, teams cover the spread less on the second night of a back-to-back, or if a team is on the long road trip, the long end of a road trip, you're going to want to look at that as well. Just certain spots to look out for. Of course, you're going to want to be looking at the strategies that I talked about first, line shopping, fading the public. But to get a little bit more specific into the NBA, there are some things you can look for, like scheduling conflicts, injury reports, pace for totals, stuff like that. But that's pretty much it. Hopefully this made sense. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it and now feel ready to bet on the NBA. If so, I would appreciate it if you could just give the video a like, comment on the video, let me know what type of content you can enjoy. Then more importantly, subscribe to the OddsJam YouTube channel. We're going to have a ton of different type of content like this on the OddsJam YouTube channel. Some educational, some picks specific. So make sure to subscribe, get all those videos. But that's it. So I appreciate you guys watching. Enjoy the NBA season.